Greg?
All right now let's talk with the executive director of America First Works, Ashley Hayek. Ashley, welcome back. New York City Mayor Adams, he travels to the border, declares the southern border crisis situation. It looks like it took his own city's struggle with illegal immigrants to get him engaged with this. A New York Post headline said, "Bravo for speaking out. Now what will he do?" Ashley, will Mayor Adams do something or just continue to grab headlines?
He will continue to grab headlines. I mean, the one person he can point at is himself. In January of 2021, he talked about New York City being a sanctuary city. Remember, they were the ones that opened up that beautiful facility with hot meals and Xboxes and games. And he inked a $275 million hotel deal, which is very appealing to anybody who would want to cross the border and have that sort of lifestyle. So the only person who's at fault are mayors, governors like him who have allowed for this to happen, who have welcomed it into their communities at the detriment of their own citizens, of the American citizens, and also at the president and the Congress. They've had a Democrat Congress. They've had a majority. They could have done something. But this is an intentional crisis created by the Democrats. And unfortunately, it will be their legacy.
That is an excellent point. He's the one that made it a sanctuary city. You can't have it both ways, Mayor. Ashley,
No.
America First Works put together a video to address the left's extreme abortion policy. I want to show a clip for our viewers. I'll come back to you.
What single issue could say more about a society's values than the degree of respect shown for human life at its most vulnerable, human life still unborn?
Roe v. Wade has been overturned.
But the Congress will continue to act.
Last fall, they passed a bill that would allow for abortions up until birth on demand for any reason.
Now, tell us what YouTube did when you posted that video.
So we had that video up since last fall, and it was shared by several influencers. On other platforms, it received 1, 2, 3 million views. Unfortunately, just recently, last week, YouTube took that video down. If you continue to watch that video, it shows Democrats themselves saying how they support 7th, 8th, 9-month abortion with no limits, taxpayer funded up until the moment of birth. And so when YouTube emailed us and said that they were taking down that video, they said it was for graphic content. But the graphic content is really just the policy of lawmakers and what they're supporting. So it's really unfortunate that they would not demonstrate that. And if they think that that content is too graphic, they need to think about the policies that the Democrats are pushing across the country today.
You're absolutely right. Graphic and violent is what they always use with that. And I don't see either one unless it was Ronald Reagan. Maybe that's what did it at the beginning. So why do you think America First Works was singled out? Why do you think they've singled you out on this after it's been up for months? And have you been able to post it on other outlets since then?
Yeah, it's on Rumble. Fortunately, Rumble's a great platform. The only thing I could think of is this is right before March for Life this week. And so my inclination is that when you start to search for it, maybe it popped up and some folks flagged it. But regardless, we believe that we have an obligation as servant leaders to make sure that the American people know the truth about what these radical policies will do to the unborn. And it is our mission to protect life and support women, especially in this upcoming legislative session.
Those policies are violent to unborn life. Now, Republican Chris Christie asked the million-dollar question on ABC this week regarding the first discovery of classified documents with Joe Biden. Here it is.
Did the president make the decision? Who made the decision to not tell the American people 6 days before an election? And if Donald Trump had not told people 6 days before an election, what would the conversation be about right now? I guarantee you it would be about cover-up.
What would revealing Joe Biden's mishandling classified information had meant to November's election, if any?
And we don't know because it never happened. And there's been a constant cover-up by big tech, by the DOJ, by Department of Homeland Security, by all of these agencies, as we're seeing through the Twitter files, and it's wrong. And so the American people have the right to transparency. There's a clear double standard. And the other problem is that the mainstream media is working against the American people by colluding with big tech and Democrat lawmakers.
All right, let's talk about the Biden home for a second in Delaware. Hunter pays rent at a far greater rate than its value, and then the tax returns show that he did. There are no visitor logs, but when you come to that home and encounter Secret Service, you have to show some sort of identity to be confirmed that you're supposed to be there to meet with the president. Your thoughts on this whole situation?
There's so many hypocrisies. Imagine if this had happened with the Trump family, with Don Jr. or Eric Trump, people would be losing their minds. I also think it's really funny, the voter identification piece of it, as we talk about with our elections. The double standard just never ends with the far left.
Never does. And he spent 40% of his time at that Delaware home.
40%.
So you could say that's a second office. All right, real quickly on this one. Major city schools are cutting off parents from their kids when it comes to gender identity and medical sex change. Why in the world would educators want to stop parents from supporting their kids and education?
Power and control over your children. Parents have the right to have control and transparency over their education. They need to make sure that they are plugged in, understanding exactly what's going on in the classroom, and make sure that they have a relationship with the teachers. We need to empower parents now more than ever, as we see so many evil policies coming from the top down. There
is an attack on children. There's an attack on America, and we have to stand up. And you're doing it, Ashley. Thank you so much. America First Works for what you're doing. And Ashley Hayek, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Fior?